The question is, if I'm diabetic, I'm on medication. If you're on any medication, you're doing the program, if you do it here at Green Valley or through some of the other places, it's supervised by a medical doctor. And so obviously if you're diabetic, you do need to check your levels. You can still do the program. Most people, in all the research that I have reviewed since the 50s, says that conditions like diabetes, almost every condition like that, improves. There are people that have come up to me right here that have had massive arthritis, and during the program, they have no arthritis pain and full range of motion in their joints. So there's a lot of health conditions that improve. No one knows if it's because of the HCG or it's just the fact that you're losing weight and eating a much better diet, or getting rid of some of the high fructose corn syrups or things like this. What's the reason you'll see an improvement in diabetes usually, or an improvement in arthritis usually? We don't know. But the good news is you do see positive side effects like that. There have been no negative side effects ever reported anywhere. Yeah, does it apply to type 1 and type 2? Yes. In my book, I give you the manuscript. You can actually go to greenvalleyspa.com. The original manuscript by Dr. Simeons is there. You can read his original manuscript called Pounds and Inches, and he talks about diabetes and how this affects. But if you are diabetic, you can still do the program. Just make sure you are under the supervision of a doctor, because diabetes is a serious medical condition. You have to monitor your insulin levels and so forth. Will high blood pressure medication affect the weight loss? No, it won't, but there's a good chance you'll be off the high blood pressure medication. And in my book, Natural Cures, I give a lot of information on high blood pressure. Blood pressure is probably the easiest method to determine if you have a physical problem. And it's really good to check your blood pressure. There's pH testing, which is also good to find out what your general health is, and a couple other tests, heart rate variability. But the simplest one is just to take your blood pressure. If you have normal blood pressure, you really don't have any problems in your body. If you have an abnormal blood pressure, that means there's something potentially askew. So it's a good indicator. But high blood pressure medication actually is probably not needed in many cases. I give some of the natural remedies in the book. One of the most effective, which was discovered by 3 medical doctors, Harvard MDs, is that people who have high blood pressure almost always have a mineral deficiency in magnesium. And it's either a deficiency or an absorption problem. So when they supplement their diet with a good magnesium, almost always the blood pressure goes away. Also, when you lose weight and you go on this particular diet, the blood pressure seems to be normalized as well. So I would be testing, if you are on high blood pressure medication, I'd be testing that on a regular basis. But I do give several good natural products in the Natural Cures book for high blood pressure. And I travel all around the world, so I see people all the time who come up to me and say, I was on high blood pressure medication for 15 years. I got your book and I did some of the natural things in there, and I weaned myself off the high blood pressure medication. I took some of these natural substances for 3 months. Now I don't take anything, and my blood pressure is 120/80. And these people were running 250. I mean, like, they should be dead. They were so high with their blood pressure, and they didn't lose any weight. They just did some of the natural remedies for high blood pressure. Yeah, if you have a colon problem with some of the symptoms, there's almost first off, I'm not a doctor. Okay, I have no medical training. For members who are in the FTC or FDA here or in the room, I am just using my First Amendment rights of free speech. So always check with a licensed healthcare practitioner. And I say that because I don't say go to an MD. To me, I don't go to MDs. I go to licensed healthcare practitioners who don't use drugs and surgery because they know more than the MD. Now, if I'm in a car crash and I'm bleeding, rush me to the closest emergency room, and I want an MD to use drugs and surgery and save my life, because it's great in that crisis care. However, with all my little disclaimers that I just said, from all the people that I've talked to that have irritable bowel syndrome or things in the colon, it's almost always candida. It's almost always. And so doing a colon cleanse, and I mentioned in the Natural Cures book for that, colon cleanse, 5-lac, it's an excellent thing. Those almost always go away. It always gets cleared up. When you do a colon cleanse and get rid of the candida, those type of symptoms in the colon always seem to get...
I've had colon cleanses a lot.
If you had the colon cleanse and you're still having the problem, then there's a good chance it may be candida. Have you ever done anything for a candida issue? Then that would be the first thing I would do is find a licensed healthcare practitioner who doesn't use drugs in surgery. But in the book, I give you some ideas, and I think probably 5-LAC would be a good one. And there's a product called just go, it's 5-LAC. Just Google it, and you'll find it right there, and it's an excellent product. What's the effect of cholesterol levels on the diet? Most conditions improve, and cholesterol levels usually balance out for those who have really high cholesterol. But cholesterol really isn't a concern. What you should do, and I talk about this in Natural Cures, if you're concerned about cholesterol, don't even look at that test. Go get a Doppler exam and see if your arteries are clogged. Because if you have 600 cholesterol counts and you have wide open arteries, who cares? The reason they test cholesterol is they can prescribe Lipitor. It's the only reason they're testing cholesterol.
What's it called?
It's called the Doppler exam, which is an ultrasound to determine if you have clogged arteries. I mean, that's what we're concerned about your cholesterol because we don't want your arteries to be clogged. Well, test them. It takes 10 minutes. Because if they're open, who cares what the cholesterol is? Again, I give you the history in the Natural Cures book of how this whole cholesterol system was designed to sell Lipitor and statins.